My wife and I had to answer this question many times. This is a very, I don't know if special is the right word, special week for us, or not a special week, but it is a special week in some respects. But, we had to answer this question. Whether I will or whether he doesn't, whether he does, whether he doesn't, I'm going to serve him anyway. Years ago, before Emily was born, my wife, she had basically a miscarriage, and we tried to get pregnant, we couldn't. She got pregnant, we had a miscarriage, and we thought the world has come to an end, kind of thing. And we tried, and then we had Emily, and everything was awesome, and we thought, man, this is great. Okay, we're on track now. Everything is good. I got Daddy's little girl. I'm so excited. And then all of a sudden she gets pregnant again, and then she has 2 more miscarriages. And we're like, oh my word. And then my son is born, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome now. I have my son, and I have my daughter. My daddy's little girl, the light of my life, and now I have my son. So, I got the sports guy, I have it all. This is all I need. This is perfect. So everything is going along great. We're at home, everything's great, we're living life, and then all of a sudden, Ethan has to go in for this routine, just no big deal kind of thing, as far as, it is a big deal, but it's not a big deal in the long scheme of things. A lot of people go through. He was just going in for a simple calf. And his body had an adverse reaction to the anesthesia. They didn't even get started. It just happened. It was a fluke. The doctor told us that they could have done it 10 minutes later and it wouldn't have happened. So here is my boy. The doctors come in and they tell us we're trying to resuscitate him. It doesn't look good. And here we're praying and we're believing. And I'm a Pentecostal pastor. I know God heals. I've laid my hands on many people and He's healed. I've seen it. I've seen the open eye. Look, how many people? And here's my boy. He's dying. God, I know you're going to do this, right? Because your word tells me that you will not give me more than I can handle. It's going to be okay. I believe it. But he dies. What do I do with that? And then my wife and I, we know the funeral director where we lived in Meridian, Mississippi. So it was a blessing / a curse all at the same time. But it was a bigger blessing. We actually got to, my wife, now imagine this, for 4 hours on the way back from Birmingham, UAB Hospital, my wife held our dead son for 4 hours as we drove him back to Meridian, Mississippi to hand deliver him to the house of the funeral home. So for 4 hours she held our dead son, and I had to drive with him sitting next to me for 4 hours. Answering the question, whether he does or whether he doesn't, are we going to serve him anyway? And then my wife says, we have faith, we believe. She goes, we're not going to the funeral home. Let's go to the church. So we literally go to the church, and where we're pastoring, we open the door, we take him in, we lay him on the altar of our church, and we have the most powerful prayer meeting that you've ever had, and yet he lays dead. I'm supposed to not let that happen. I've laid my hands on others and they've been healed, but yet he's still dead. What do I do with that? Father's Day is the next Sunday coming up. What do you do with that? You answer this question and you begin to look, and you begin to look at it. Here is dreams. I have dreams. We were going to play baseball together, We have dreams. But most importantly, I believe God with everything in me that He could raise the dead. And we prayed and we believed, but it didn't happen. Do you know what it's like to pick your dead son up off the altar, knowing that you're driving 5 minutes away and you're going to turn him over to a funeral home and that's the end? watching my wife pick him up off of the altar, of the same altar that I've seen so many other people heal. Picking him up. Walking to the car, answering the question whether he does or whether he doesn't. The facts are the truth. Is God good? Is he not? Is he the healer? Is he not? Does he still love me? Does he not? Am I going to serve him anyway? Is he worthy enough to be served? You see, the Christian life is not always easy, but it comes down to really tough questions. We have to know what we believe are the truths of God, because there are so many facts that lay dead in your arms. And you have to one day answer this question. My life is falling apart here, but who's the God I serve? And as we show up to the funeral guy's house, they invite us in, and we actually sit in their house for another hour or two because we just could not let him go. So we let him go. And then Father's Day's coming, and my wife's like, "Are you going to preach it?" "I don't know." "Are you going to preach it?" "I don't know." "Are you going to?" "Yes, I'm going to preach it." Why? Because I want to know deeper and more intimately the God who holds my son. Everyone's like, are you mad at God? No, I'm not mad at God, because here's the deal. Humanity's the one that brought sin and sickness and death into the world. God didn't. But the next service, after my son passes away, we're in the middle of worship, and all of a sudden the back door opens, and this guy comes down with these short shorts, these orange shorts. I'll never forget it. And this orange short shorts, it kind of reminds me of, remember that exercise guy, you know, "Give it here!" He comes walking down to the altar. Never seen him before in our life. He comes down to the very front, and of course, here's this guy in short shorts, a little shirt, coming, walking down to the altar. Never seen before. You don't know. Does he have a gun? Is he going to kill us? Or what's going to happen here? And at this point, you know, I already feel my life's falling apart. You know, my son just died. God, where are you? You know, we're having these kind of back and forths. What's going on? He comes down to the front, and he says, "I was on my way to kill myself. I passed by the church, and something literally reached out, grabbed my steering wheel, and pulled me in." That's what we've been praying for forever. He's like, "I need someone to go to the car and grab my gun so I don't do it." Okay. What do you do with that? Whether he does or whether he doesn't, I'm going to serve him anyway. My God's still on the throne. Life, ups and downs and turmoils and comes, and so we battle through it.
Amen. Amen.
But the deal is I can honestly tell you with every last breath of my being, if it wasn't for the power of the Holy Spirit, the power for God, I would not be here, because He has carried me, walked beside me, and been my very breath. I'm here to tell you, He is a good God and He's backing me. Does that mean that your wheels don't fall off occasionally? No. But what it means is when the wheel is off, you better make your mind up that you're going to serve Him anyway, because He's the only choice you got, because there's no one beside Him. He is God Almighty. He's the one and only.
Yes.
It's Him. And they looked back at the king, they said, "King, look, we're not going to bow, because I've made my mind up. And whether my God intervenes or He doesn't intervene, it doesn't really change the fact that He's good."
Hallelujah.
We answer that. And then trucking along, we've been dealing with this battle, and everybody asks me, look, it's been a while, are you okay now? Look, you never get okay, you just learn how to deal with it.
That's right.
It's like if someone cut your right arm off, and you might learn how to live your life with your left, but you still know your right arm's missing. There's not one day that I wake up and not know that he's not here. And everybody's like, oh, we gotta be hush hush. Oh, we gotta be hush hush. We can't talk about. No, wait a minute. Let me just break it down for you. If Emily moves away to Hawaii, I'm still going to send her birthday cards and still going to act like she's my daughter. Why in the world would I stop acting like he's my son because he lives in heaven? I believe that's a real place too.
Amen.
If my daughter lives somewhere else, I'm going to celebrate her. Why in the world would I not celebrate my son just because he lives in heaven? That's just as real to me, if not more so, than anywhere else.
Amen.
So why would he just all of a sudden disappear? Doesn't. But we rock on, and then all of a sudden, we move, and then my wife, we're in the middle of VBS, teaching Vacation Bible School. And my wife goes home on a Tuesday night, and she says, we went getting ready to go to bed. She's like, I'm just not feeling well. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, she wakes up in excruciating pain. Just excruciating pain. So bad, the worst pain just horrible pain. So we end up taking her to the doctor, and he's like, don't worry about it. You just got a virus. It'll pass. No big deal. Here's some medicine. Yada, yada, yada. It's getting worse. Getting to the point her heart starts flipping out, and blood pressure goes crazy, and she can't walk and do any of this kind of stuff. It goes crazy. Couldn't figure it out. So then we start this long journey of what ends up happening is this virus that she caught during VBS, working for the Lord during VBS, kicked off autoimmune diseases in her body. And to this day, she's on so many medicines, and sometimes she can't even get out of the bed. There are some times when I need her, there's times she can't get out of the bed. There's sometimes that she's better, and sometimes she's fine. But we're walking through this journey together, but we're answering the question. Everything that we've done and given up, okay, Lord, isn't there a reprieve occasionally? And then we ask the question, okay, Lord, wait a minute. Whether he does or whether he doesn't, we're going to serve you anyway. Because life has so many unexpected things.